Morning, morning, morning. I have been plugging away at this. Some progress made. Half of this bed done. The other day I was digging out here and I got absolutely destroyed by ants. So hopefully I've dug those out. There's a red ant here that makes me swell up like crazy. This is looking pretty neat. Still got to get in here with the chainsaw and the weed whacker, but I will keep plugging away. And there's a black PVC pipe in there that I bought, and it hooks up to here. And in here is an old pump to a well that we don't use. And this line, this well pump, this tap here, is also hooked up to this line here that goes along up onto the roof and into that tank up there. The theory being that when our other line, which comes from the farm centre, like just over a mile that way, is broken, we can use this pump and still have water. Fills a tank up there. That line coming from that way is just gravity fed, and it's great, gives great pressure. So when I turn the hose on over there, it just dribbles out, because the way this is hooked up, the water goes that way but not that way. So to get pressure over there, I would have to run the pump, which I don't want to do. I don't want to spend electricity every time I've got to water the garden. So now I have to dig a trench from here over to here, so we can hook another line that goes from there to here. So I'm going to have pressure over there. So just when I thought I've done digging trenches, they pull me back in. Oh well, best to do it right so it works. Ditch dug from the house to the tap. Let's hope that does it. Okay, I finished digging out this part of bed 4, except for this area here where I'm still fighting the ants. I just keep digging them out. And I've measured out and done the initial digging on the last half of bed 4. So that's good. Gardening methods. Everyone has an opinion. There's various gurus online, different ways of doing it. Some things work for some people and not for others. I'll run down what I do. I dig out. First I cover it with tarp for as long as I can. Several months hopefully. Ideally through the summer best. Take the tarp off. I measure out the bed. I then take this spade and I break up all the surface. Line, line, line. And then I take a garden fork and I go through that way, break it all up some more, and it goes down to about wrist depth, more or less. Then I get down and by hand I pull out all the roots and dead grass and bits like that, so I don't get the grass growing back, is the theory. You get some, but not a lot. And then in an ideal world, I throw some compost on and then plant. I often don't have compost ready, so that gets skipped a lot, but I put it on as I get it available. Charles Dowding is a popular one on YouTube. He runs courses and everything. He seems to know what he's doing. He's in England. what he does, he lays down cardboard and then he puts compost on top of the cardboard, plants into the compost. Cardboard rots away so the plants can get through to the roots underneath. And with his paths, he does what I've done here, which is cover with cardboard and then he covers it with something else. It doesn't work for me. One is, if I put down cardboard, it doesn't rot. It's not as wet here as it is in the UK, so it just stays there. Even if the cardboard's not covered, as I saw in the last garden, it doesn't rot at all. It just stays there forever and ever and ever. And I don't have the money or the place to buy tons and tons of compost like he does. And I don't generate enough compost to put it down at the levels that he does either. So Charles Dowdy doesn't work for me. I like about him that he does one bed with his method and one bed with the regular method so he can compare results. I like that, it's good. Ruth Stout method. Similar, except instead of compost, they use hay bales. Basically, it's just letting the compost create itself while the plants are growing, I think. I do not have money or access. Actually, I probably have access, but I don't have the money to buy tons and tons and tons of hay and just throw it on the ground. I work with basically zero inputs other than what I can, the compost that I can make myself from our kitchen waste and the occasional wheelbarrow full of horse or cow poo from around. Back to Eden. Same thing, except with wood chips. I don't have money or access to tons and tons of wood chips. A lot of people seem to have problems with carbon nitrogen balances in the first year or so of the Back to Eden way, so well, it's a moot point. I don't have access to that stuff. Raised beds. A lot of people think raised beds is some kind of panacea for vegetable gardening. I understand the point of raised beds if you have poor soil or poor drainage, or you have mobility issues, then it makes it very easy to get into. However, expensive because you've got to build the beds out of steel or wood or whatever you got, and you got to fill the beds with good soil from somewhere, and if your soil's no good, which should be the reason you're doing raised beds, then you got to buy in that soil from somewhere. But I'm pretty mobile, don't have drainage issues, soil here seems pretty good, so no raised beds for me.